reports. Councillor Fletcher.
Madam Chair, I wasn't going to speak, but it's important, I think, to hear the voices, and I think in a way it's a bit of a pity that you and Councillor Cashmore have moved and seconded this, and it would have been quite nice perhaps for an urban representation. The speech that the Mayor made probably was one I was comfortable with in just supporting, but this is where the government have put us in a real quandary with the way that the representation on this council. If you looked at the Royal Commission's recommendations where there were to be regional councillors as well as ward councillors, it was with a view to trying to bring the regional perspective into play. So I know that my support for the recommendations will not be popular, but I'm sitting here today as a councillor for the region, not just for the ward that I represent. And I think it's really important that we can be sympathetic, as Councillor Cashmore has said. He has been very generous in his support for city-centric projects that are to be delivered. Similarly, I think we've got to really appreciate our rural neighbours and the challenges that they are confronted with on a daily basis. And what I have learned in the opportunity I've had to come to grips with the Parks portfolio is just how many of the urban people I represent have their hearts in regional Auckland and our regional parks. So I'm strongly supporting these recommendations and the local board chairs that have represented them today. It is a little bit muddy in terms of who and which board and who's been lobbied, but I've chosen to disregard all of that, to actually look at the recommendations, to understand the recommendations, and as a regional councillor I am supporting them.
Thank you. Right, so Councillor Clow, do you want to put your amendment?
Yep. Gosh, I'm feeling lonely and not connected because no one lobbied me at all. I don't know who the hell's been lobbying you. Anyone lobby you? No, we had a chat yesterday about this because we'd read the report and we thought we'd just be consistent in what we were last year. So I feel lonely that the local boards, my local board didn't even call me about this. I'm feeling really not connected because it's terrible that I'm obviously not a good Aucklander, not a true Aucklander, and I don't have a regional view on this. I don't know about that. I think that's drawing a long bow, and if Mayor Brown wants to talk about, you know, fairness and etc., then e.g. transport targeted rates, socked all the residents, favoured the business. I don't know. Come on. We could go anywhere on all that, you know, so... So I don't know whether the issue is here Rodney losing 230 and 2.3 over 10 years, or is it them gaining it? I probably look at that end of the telescope to say they're gaining it. So, but I'll be quite honest, my main reason, and it was very consistent a year ago, it was just on the professional advice. And the professional advice from our professional staff is that putting this measure in, whether it be into the LDI OPEX or into capital, it distorts things, and I'm sorry, statistically it distorts things badly. I mean, for goodness sake, I don't want to vote against something that the Rangers gets hit by 15,000, but I'm quite aware in the Waitakere Ranges most of it's bush. It's all bush and it's all land gathering, so I'm not sure. So I'll just go back to the professional advice that they're saying it's not logical, statistical aberration, and it does not relate to a need for services. I was interested to hear Board Chair Kay mention the logic that it may apply more to LDI OPEX, and that made me think, and I will consider that next year or whenever we have a vote on that again, because that did start to make me think there was logic there, but I don't think there's logic for this capital fund. So I'm just asking, and Councillor Casey and myself are asking for the support on this. You're not going to be a bad Aucklander if you vote for this.
Okay, I will put it presumably by division. Yes. Thank you. Voting for the amendment. The amendment is that the local board funding policy provide the allocation of discretionary locally driven initiative capital funding as follows: the remainder of the fund allocated between the remaining local boards based on 95% population and 1% deprivation.
5%.
5%.
Sorry, 5% deprivation.
Your Worship.
No.
Councillor Nye.
Aye.
Councillor Brewer.
No.
Councillor Casey.
Yes.
Councillor Cashmore.
No.
Councillor Clow.
Yes.
Councillor Cooper.
No.
Councillor Darby.
4.
Councillor Fletcher.
No.
Deputy Mayor Hulse.
No.
Councillor Crum.
Against.
Councillor Lee.
No.
Councillor Penrose.
No.
Councillor Quacks.
No.
Councillor Stewart.
No.
Member Taipari.
4.
Member Tamahiri. Councillor Sir John Walker. Councillor Wayne Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Watson.
Yes.
Councillor Wood.
Yes.
Councillor Webster.
No. Right, that's lost to 9 to 13. I'm going to put the substantive motions. All those in favour?
Aye. Aye.
Against?
No.
Oh, recorded.
Carried. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. We do have lunch downstairs if you would like to come down. There's a few things we need to discuss.